All right, all right. So we are live, folks, with Krillin. We finally got the man, the legend here on the channel, and he's kind of giving us a tour of his. I don't know what this is. Krillin, you want to take it away?
Yeah, this is where I rent. This is where my office is. I rent the basement of a thrift store. If you can't see me, can you see me now with my coal miner's helmet on?
Yeah, that's
So
totally
what
legit.
happens is like it's just kind of like the lights are behind like these clothing racks and stuff like that. So I'll never be able to find it without a flashlight. So I'm like, you know what? I'll just wear one of these. Can you see me here?
Yep.
So I'm just wearing one of these helmets here, and hopefully I won't fall down the stairs. So now this is her part. So this is the basement. This is, pretty cool down here. I made friends with this lady just from buying stuff, like a regular, just sourcing, And then, so one day she was like, "Oh, I would just checking the place out." She was showing me around the place. I told her I resell whatever. Let me get into the other. All right, let me turn the other light on here. But this is like a mom and pop thrift shop.
Yeah, that's cool that they they worked that kind of thing out with them.
Dude, I don't know. I really do not know what I would do is if I lost this spot. Like I freak out because what happened was I see I got a mirror here. So what happened was I had so much crap in the house, and then I was like, oh, I want to move all my stuff, get everything out of my house, and then get it into this kind of this kind of setup. But what happened, of course, is now I have two places filled with shit. Now I have this place filled with shit, and then I have my plate's halfway packed with shit, not 100% packed. It's like 50%. So anyway, this here, you see these metal gates here?
Yeah,
This is like actually a separate. Well, it became a separate, like a little antique store.
gotcha.
So actually, it worked out kind of better. That it's so weird. Like once you see stuff behind the gate, people actually pay more money because they say, "Oh no, this is the antique. This is the antique section." Not
I,
the yeah.
no, I was gonna say, I swear those gates are like an East Coast thing. You like never see those kind of like accordion gates in California ever.
You don't see them here either. This was like an impromptu, like, oh, then later. This is like just so trash. But anyway, this guy is pretty cool in here. This guy, his name is Matt, but he goes to sleep early. So I tell him to come live, but he's like, he has like he's got a family and a wife, like you.
Yeah, I know that feeling. That's why we only got a half an hour. Because I
Yeah,
gotta
like I don't have, that's the thing is with me, I don't have a family, so it's like I go to, I have a different lifestyle, I mean, it's completely different. Um, so anyway, what he does is he has this section here that he runs the what the antique and collectible section, which is cool. So he sells stuff out of here, and then he works for her part time. Like it's kind of like a good deal. What he does is he works for her like at a like a house pay that he gets to work the upstairs like on his days, and then when people want to buy stuff that's collectibles, he runs down here, so he'll make money on the side. Not really. I hate to say like on the side because that sounds like dishonest, but like make money from the stuff he sells down here as he's working upstairs.
right.
So now this is my section.
Now this is just basically like a storage area, right? You don't. There's nothing like people aren't going there to go look through your stuff,
No,
right?
nobody's allowed in here, especially I got stuff like I have from this door to the wall. Then I don't have this section. This is hers, whatever it is. And I mean, of course, I'm slightly encroaching on her section, but
Right.
um, like these are all my racks. I don't know if you can see. I,
I
I
could see
can't see
them.
what you can see. I'm trying to just show you. So
No, no, no. I could see everything, man. And as a matter of fact, I have you screen shared, so when I talk, it won't show my face.
okay,
You're live like 24/7, dude. It's all you
all right.
right now. But
So
what
I
I was
got
gonna say is I'm inspired because in my place, I have to put up a double rack system so that I can start to put some of my clothes. So just looking at this stuff's pretty inspiring.
Yeah, like you see these racks that are up there. Can you see the metal? You can see where the clothes are hanging from, obviously.
Yeah, they're like, are they attached to the wall or the ceiling?
The ceiling. So what happened was that's why I saw this place and I was like I fell in love right away because um this whole store, the whole thing, the upstairs, downstairs, it used to be a wedding store. So where they would have wedding dresses and everything, so they literally have all these racks for the storage for all for all the gowns and everything.
Right.
So um so what was I saying? So all these racks up here, all those bars up there. So so that's what I was like, oh my god, this is like a dream come true. It already has everything there. And then I just put these other racks and
Wow, you got
whatever.
a lot of clothes, man. That's a lot of stock, dude.
Oh, I know. Yeah, but clothing is long tail. You know,
Absolutely.
anybody who sells clothing will tell you, um, it's very long tail. And a lot of this stuff, like I have, I have this like all this shit is unlisted. But a lot of stuff. There's the one thing about clothing that's a pain in the ass. Not a pain in the ass, but it's a part of the business. Is the prep. A lot of people send out dirty clothes. I don't like to do that.
Hmm.
Uh, like I just brought a bunch of stuff to the dry cleaners, whatever it is. Like certain things I can clean in my house. I mean, a lot of times you go there to Savers and the Salvation Army, and it's already clean. But sometimes, like there was one sale I was at. Let me put this down over here. There was one sale I was at, um, and they had literally. It was in a basement, a dingy basement, whatever it was. Big old house in a really, very expensive area. House wasn't the best house. It's kind of dingy, but the town was like a very expensive zip code.
Right.
And literally they had like fill up a bag sale. So they had like, the guy didn't have like best stuff, but decent stuff like these blazers, like here, like
Hmm.
this is like Brooks, like this is like a Brooks Brothers.
Right.
Got a nice Burberry overcoat. Those sell very well, Burberry overcoat with the removable lining. But then when I got home and I took them out of the garbage bag, it was kind of like dusty, and I'm like, I'm not gonna send nothing dusty.
So what'd you do?
So I brought it to the dry clean. I mean, it cost like 17 bucks, $16, but I
For one item it cost that much?
for an overcoat with a lining,
Oh,
you
but
know,
is it worth it? Is it something that's worth over $100? Like,
yeah, it's gonna be in that range. So that's exactly, yeah. If it wasn't, then I wouldn't have done it.
that's not gonna be a game plan for most people because the margins are so tight when people are going to Goodwills and things like that.
Yeah, but a Burberry overcoat with a plaid lining, that don't at the same time, I people talk about this all the time is that they don't want to spend. Like I'll go to the estate sale all the time and I'll pay up. You know what I mean? If it's worth the money, you know, I have one other spot where I buy. I'll show you here. Uh, uh, you know, like sometimes I'll buy a lot of stuff new with tags. I don't know if you can see this here.
Yep, that looks actually
Like,
really super clean.
well, it's brand new.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is Marty Collezione plaid blazer. You know, like I paid like $100 for this.
yeah, that's
But
nice.
but it's brand new with tags.
How's the
This one,
dust? How's the dust down there? I see you got a bag on that one, but the rest of your stuff, does it get dusty or how does that? What do
yeah,
you usually
it's
do?
not that bad. Trust me. I mean, it's there. I mean, there is a little bit of dust. I mean, the basement is pretty much a clean basement. Like I said, this used to be the whatchamacallit, the wedding store, so it's pretty well kept. In the summertime, I have to run. I have a dehumidifier. I have to run. Well, I mean, you guys live like in the desert, right? So like
Yeah,
it rains.
it's like the valley. Yeah, we got dry heat. We don't have that murky heat.
Yeah, we have that. So I run the what was I gonna say? I run the dehumidifier. Sometimes I have to dump it out like 3 times a day. But now there's no humidity. There's a little dust. So what I do is like when I have the plastic from the dry cleaner, like some of the more expensive pieces, I cover them up. You know, and hopefully stuff doesn't sit around that long where it's gonna get or some where they don't where it doesn't get 2 inches thick of dust. Or I'll
All right,
go around once in a while.
real quick, we have Chick Picker says hello. I don't know if you know who Chick Picker is. She knows your first name, so I think she knows who you are.
Sure.
We got Anita Fuita, I think that is. She says hello. Treasure Hustlers
Anita.
is in the house. Flipper Joe's
Awesome.
here. Mother's Mustache.
Oh, so you got a lot of people now.
Yeah. I don't really
Yeah,
get
they've
too
all
many. I
seen
don't
my.
really get too many people on the live shows that I do.
Yeah, they've seen my dungeon. Most of these people. I
So,
know it.
so what's new with you, man? How's it going for this week? I mean, it's Monday, but I mean, how are you doing?
I'm doing. You know what? Sales wise, I'm a little. I try to follow from year to year. You know, you look at the charts on the PayPal. I was up a little bit. February was my slowest month last year. I was up a little bit, nothing crazy. But of course, you know, I never complain about slow sales if I'm getting lazy. That's the one thing. You know what?
Yeah.
I try my goal. I try to list 10 items every day. You know
Oh,
what?
no, that's funny
And
because that was what like I was thinking about goals today, and that was the number I had for the shop was 10. So that's pretty funny that you said that.
yeah, I'm trying to list 10 items a day. Um, because you know you sell through about what is it like about 1% with the stuff because like I said, clothing is a long tail. Especially if I do best offer, but I don't I take if I like the best offer. I know some people they don't like the best offer, they go back and forth, but I like the best offer because you know what? If you're having a slow day, someone makes you an offer, you take it. You
Absolutely.
know, if you're busy and you're jamming and you don't and it's something that's like kind of like an item that's fresh that you just listed it, then you counter because sometimes there's certain items that everybody knows this on eBay. There's certain items that have sat for a year. Oh my god, I've had this since 2017. Oh my god, you know what? Boom, gone.
Yeah. Are you saying there's some people that actually don't utilize the best offer? And
Oh, tons of people.
yeah, I would say it's just almost like, I guess if you want to get top dollar for an item, it makes sense. But for me,
No,
it's like
to
it
me it
doesn't make
doesn't
sense. Yeah,
because I'll tell you so many times. I sold a jacket this morning, a Tommy Hilfiger jacket. Well, obviously I don't have. I'm looking like it's here. I sold it. Went out this morning. A guy bought this Tommy Hilfiger jacket, paid $60 for it, and and actually, and it's that's kind of good about being downstairs from the thrift store upstairs. I gave the lady $10 for the jacket, so and I listed it, and in like 1 or 2 days it sold.
that's
Uh,
funny.
so I like having a source like right there, right above me.
Now,
So
does anyone now? How do they get the thrift store upstairs? Do people donate stuff, or how does that work upstairs?
listen, people literally give this woman stuff. They
Yeah,
come in, they she does not say that she's a charity. She does not. People just they come by. She's just one of these people like that. She knows a lot of people in the neighborhood and stuff like that. The woman's the nicest woman, and people like literally every single night. I'll go by the back door and there'll be garbage bags full of stuff, clothes, toys, all this stuff, all the time. I just sold. Do you know much about board games at all?
absolutely. Well, I'm not an expert, but I know a fair share of stuff about board
You
games.
you know about Avalon Hill?
Oh yeah, they're a company that makes a lot of kind of off the wall titles and things like that.
Yeah, she got in. I want to say like 20 Avalon Hill games.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are gated with that on Amazon.
Really?
It's one of those. I'm pretty sure it's one of those titles that are one of those brands that they only allow those. Uh, do you sell on Amazon by any way, or are you just strictly clothes
No.
on eBay?
Yeah, that's the thing is like I'm like 90% clothing, and then like if I'm at a like for example, I mainly source from the estate sales. That's my main source. I know a lot of
Yeah,
people they don't like estate sales, but to me over here the estate sales are very good, and you can go in and get like I said, fill up a bag for $50 or something. Magic can kind of happen. Or sometimes you can get stuff that's very hard to find at the estate sales. Anyway, I have one woman who really loves me, and she always like if I find other stuff, she'll literally just give me, especially at the end of the day, superstar prices. So
gotcha.
anyway, there was like I said, I once in a while like I pick up hard goods. She had two of those, those large toner cartridges for like
Oh
the
yeah, yeah. Those things are huge, and some of them go for crazy money, brand new.
yeah, so she had I had two cartridges. One was in box, one was not, but it was still new. It was in a bubble wrap thing, and a TI-83 calculator. She's like, $10, you know. So
Right.
obviously, when I get that stuff, you know, I'll buy like stuff that's like a no-brainer, or like those Avalon Hill games. What I did was some of them were worth a lot of money. Some of those Avalon Hill games, like Merchant of Venus and stuff like that. Some of
Yeah,
these
those
weird
really,
games.
yeah, they're really weird titles, man.
Yeah. So a lot of those games I took from her. I looked up online the games that sold for like over $30,
Yeah.
and I said I should, because I told her, I said I'll do consignment with you. On the like if an item is $10 or less, more or less, I'll just buy it from her. Pretty
Yeah.
much, like if it's a non-clothing item, if it's something that's a little bit more expensive, like some of those games that she looked up. I mean, she's not stupid. She looks up on eBay. She sees, oh wow, that game is $70. She's not going to give that to me for $5.
Right.
So, but I said, well, the games like that, and since I don't know much about them, excuse me, I said, look, I'll split it with you. I said, look, take the fees out, and then we'll split it. So like some of those weird games that sold for like 60, $70, you know, $10 in fees. Now it's $50. Boom, okay, 25.
Yeah, that's a good deal for her too, because there's not going to be people that are going to be coming in there looking for those games, or even if they were, they're not going to sell them all, so fast.
Exactly. There's one, because that's what happened. She had them on a shelf, and she'll sell one of those expensive games like, every 3 months. One guy will come in and say, "Oh, I'll pay 25 for a." Like as you know, it doesn't matter. The Goodwill, they don't charge up. As far as I know, most thrift stores, they charge the same price for every board game, pretty much, right? I mean, I'm assuming.
Yeah, yeah, we had a bunch of stuff come in like that 3 weeks ago, and I forget what the brands were, but they were. It was another. There's multiple companies that are like Avalon Hill, and a
Yeah.
bunch of that stuff came in, and we price it like $3 to $5, and we don't have the time to go through all the. That's another thing, is going through all the. Some of those games have like hundreds of pieces. Those weird games.
Yeah, but I have this guy over here next door to me. There's this kid, Matt. Kid. The guy is 10 years older than me because he's a small guy. Um, he's like an Amazon man, and he knows a lot of stuff about collectibles too.
Yeah.
So he knows a lot about like how you call it hard goods, or whatever. So I'm literally like, Matt, help me go through this game. I'm like, because I couldn't even figure out, because you know how they have like what's in what comes with the game. There's like a list, and I'm
Hopefully,
like,
sometimes, yeah.
well, a
Right,
lot of
you
these
hope
had
they
them.
do.
A lot of these had them. And what's good too is that he knows the woman pretty well. Like, because sometimes like, what people do, like, because there was one game that sold, that was like a game that was like $100 game, but the one that sold on the comps on eBay was like a brand new one,
Yeah.
and there's some that are punched, unpunched. Like this lady doesn't know about that,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so it's better for him to explain it to her that, oh no, by the way, the game is worth a lot less, because it's not, because it's if it's punched, not punched, missing,
Yeah.
because sometimes the game could be missing one piece and the price goes down dramatically.
Yeah, and it's hard to determine that sometimes too, if it's one of those pieces. But yeah, board games are crazy. I usually, when I do board games that I don't have time to do that, I just do it for parts. And if you take good photos of like all the stuff that's in there, usually people that know what they're looking for will usually know. It's a time factor for me. I think I'm sure you're the same way. Do you want to spend a half an hour trying to put together a $20 game?
That's the biggest thing, is that, like you said, that's why I said, Matt, go with me real quick. Boom, boom, boom. Like he'll say, okay, how many uh cards that are whatever, how many this, how many that. This way, because I look at it, I'm like, what the F am I, because I just look at the games, and not everything is always put away nicely. Sometimes it's like you open up the box and there's just crap everywhere. There's dice here, it's all just like,
Yeah.
so, but he knew how. He's like, okay, boom. Because the guy actually, he actually used to sell a lot on Amazon, and then he got hit. He lives in I don't know. Do you remember Hurricane Sandy? I don't know how you remember that was big hurricane.
Was that the New Jersey
Yeah,
hurricane? Yeah.
yeah. Well, yeah. Well, New York and New Jersey, South
Yeah.
Shore. That it's where New York, the South, and New Jersey, the North part.
Yeah, it was a pretty devastating hurricane.
Yeah, this guy lives in a town called Long Beach. So obviously, if you live in Long Beach, you got affected. So his whole room that he had like thousands of dollars of merchandise for Amazon literally was flooded out. He lost like
Oh no. That's a
thousands of merchandise. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
look,
a
there's people
bummer.
that lost their homes and they lost,
I heard a really bad story one time, and I don't know where I heard this or saw it. I read it somewhere actually, and there was this guy that I think he lived in like the Midwest or something like that, and he kept all his vintage Star Wars figures in a basement. And some hurricane or something came through, maybe it was Texas, and flooded his basement, and literally like thousands and thousands of dollars worth of, like, I guess he had like one of the top collections in the United States all gone. Though I think he had insurance, but still, like, the fact that, those things are just completely ruined almost.
yeah, especially it's hard. Well, I mean, like where I live, let's say it's about, I live where, especially where this place is here, like a half a mile south, quarter mile south, you're required to have federal flood insurance.
Oh yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
But where I am is like this store. I'm actually like another half a mile south of the store, and this store I'm like I said, about say half a mile south of here. That's that zone where you would need. That's where it started, where the flood zone. So I'm like 5 minutes. I could drive to the beach in 10 minutes.
Yeah, no, you're in New York or New Jersey?
No, it's New York. It's long. Well, it's Long Island. So if you look at a
Right,
map, everybody always gets confused. Like I live east of New York City, and people you're like, "What do you mean? How could you live east? I mean, New York City is on the coast. How could?" But there's an island that
right.
extends out from New York City, which is Long Island,
Ah, that makes sense.
which is it doesn't look big on a map, but there's actually a lot of people. I mean, just on the island is like if you include Queens and Brooklyn, I mean, it's like 10 million people, 8
Oh,
million
so
people.
I didn't even know
A lot
that.
of
So Brooklyn's a part of. I've never been to New York. I haven't even
people.
been to the East Coast, so I don't know anything about that stuff.
So basically, New York has the five boroughs. I won't make it too complicated, but they has Manhattan, of course, Staten Island, Bronx, and then Brooklyn and Queens. Brooklyn and Queens are on the physical island of Long Island.
Gotcha. That's where the
That
trade center. That's where the trade towers were, right?
in Manhattan, not
Right.
Brooklyn.
Okay, but
Yeah.
but I mean, like, that's part of that whole strip of island, right? Or no?
Well, no, actually, like the trade center is on Manhattan, which is its own island. That separates. You have Long Island, and then you have that thin island, which is Manhattan Island,
Gotcha.
and then on the other side, then you have New Jersey.
Gotcha.
But
Gotcha.
and then of course Staten Island is off to the side. Excuse me. But on the physical island, you have Queens and Brooklyn, which by themselves have like 2.5 million people each. And then where I live in Nassau County, which has like 2 million, and then Suffolk County, which is like Suffolk County further out is like I'm sure you know the Hamptons. You always hear about the
I've heard of
Hamptons.
Hampton. That's like, is that like kind of like a ritzy kind of a neighborhood or
Yeah,
whatever?
but that's like 2 hours away from me. That's way out on the other point of the island. I live like 45 minutes. Like if I got my car now with no traffic, I could get to the Midtown Tunnel. That
Right.
that gets me to the tunnel that brings you to Midtown. I can get there in like 45 minutes. With no, like flying. You
Right.
know.
So so you sell like mostly clothes. Do you do just kind of like estate sales every weekend, or is there estate sales on Fridays and Thursdays where you live?
Basically, so what I do is I use mainly a site. It's called estatesales.net.
Oh yeah, I love that site.
Yeah, that to me is the best site. We have in the area about a dozen companies. I use about five or six of them because some companies they're just not worth it to go to because they sometimes they put the prices high or they get shitty sales or just for whatever reason. I pretty much stick to about the same five or six companies. And because some of them they'll actually text me ahead of time. They'll say, "Oh, Bob, by the way, I got for you, X, Y, and Z." And when they're texting you, you have a lot more leverage. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
how long do you think it took to get those relationships like that?
That's actually a very good question. It took me probably about at least 3 4 years
Yeah.
because a lot of people that I tell them the same thing all the time. They'll go in there and they'll look at the prices at some estate sales. They'll be like, "Oh my god, I can't believe that this is $30, whatever it is. I can't make money with that. Why are you going?" I says, "Look, because I'll go back there at the end of the day and I'll buy it for 10.
Yeah,
Those prices are so because these are companies that have to make money. They have
definitely.
overhead, they have staff, they have insurance, they have this. At the end of the day, they have to sell. I mean, not always. Sometimes a lot of these companies, that's the psychological part. Sometimes these companies are doing the clean out too, where it's just like, okay, at the end of the day, bang bang, cheap, cheap, cheap. Like that one other house that I said with the anytime they're saying, okay, by the way, here's a bag, $50, that means they don't really give a shit.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of
But
sense that they're doing
on the other
cleanup.
side of the coin, sometimes the homeowners tell them, they'll say, oh, by the way, you have this, mannequin thing here, right? They'll say, well, if you can't get at least $50 for it, I'll just keep it.
Right.
So, but that means you can only negotiate so much because they got to give it back to the homeowner if they can't get X. And you don't know that going in. They won't tell you. They're not going to tell you that because that gives away a little leverage. They're not going to tell you, oh, by the way, if you're not the guy who buys this within the next 10 minutes, that it's going to get thrown in a dumpster. That's all the leverage.
Yeah, it's leverage. Yeah, that's the perfect word for it. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't, you can't, but I can, but some of these women, like I said, the one who gives me those cartridges cheap, she has to tell me a story. Like she'll tell me about how people were chiseling her too hard in the morning and about, customers were trying to steal and the homeowner is
Oh, yeah.
annoying. So I'll sit with her and I'll say, oh yeah, oh, that's such a shame. I'll have to sit with her on the bed and, oh, it's okay. And then, oh, by the way, how much is these cartridges? Oh, don't worry. You know,
Yeah.
you, you know it is
Yeah.
because they're people just like anything else. But what I was saying was I look about 3 or 4 days ahead of time. And then usually, like say, the biggest days are like Saturday and Sunday. Sometimes Friday. Usually Saturday and Sunday are the biggest days. So what I'll do is I'll draw like a map. So like for example, Saturday I was like, all right, last week I drove like 200 or 300 miles. I
Oh, wow.
literally, yeah, I went from one spot. I bought a ton of clothing. Then I drove out on the island for another hour to find that one lady who hooks. Like I was like, all right, she hooks me up no matter what. Then I drove back to Queens, which is in New York City. Then drove to another place that was kind of near my house. So it was like, but actually I found good. But that's the thing is, I found like this awesome Versace sweater. Got it
There
for
you
five
go.
bucks
Yeah.
with all the designs on it and stuff like that. So, and like I said, if they're texting me, like the one lady, she texted me, and oh, like you said about the relationships. Sometimes like you got to show up just to show up, just
Yeah.
so they,
And then you
you know,
start talking to them, and that's how it was. That's how I got my job that I have now. Is I was going to that thrift shop for years, and they knew me and that I knew my stuff, and they knew if they called me and said I have a box of video games, they would know every time I'd go, I'd buy it, even if it was complete shit. I would
yeah,
still buy it, so they knew like. And that's another pro tip: is sometimes you got to bite the bullet for those relationships to really start to blossom.
they don't want to do that. A lot of people, what they want to do is they want to go into the thrift store. They want to see something on the shelf, scan it, and then that's it, and go to the register and buy it. They don't want to build up any relationships with anybody, and I think it's a big mistake. Like you said, sometimes like if they're calling you to come get it, unless it's a real shit
Yeah,
deal,
yeah,
you
exactly.
got to buy it. If
Yeah,
it's even halfway worth it, you got to buy it because guess what? The next time they're gonna call Joe, not Chris. Then they're gonna call if Joe doesn't want, they're gonna call Mary. They're gonna call somebody else, and then that person buys it, and then all of a sudden, that person is fresh with the other person's mind, and then you know what? You get lost. You got to get back in that loop. I tell people that all the time. That's how I got all of this merchandise. I mean, of
or
course that. Yeah. What do you say?
no, I was gonna say, or the other thing is too, they don't call you the next time they get a bunch of stuff in just because they just like, oh, that guy didn't get it, and then that's the stuff that's the like super expensive crap that you're like your grails or whatever.
Well, that's what happened with that Loro Piana. That
Mhm.
that I still have the video on my channel.
Yeah,
I bought, I mean, I literally that was I picked up. I think it was like 15 Loro Piana sweaters, and I wish I had more. At the time, it was like on a weekend. I only had so much money. I had money in PayPal. You know how those things are. You know,
Yeah,
it's like
you try to that's the thing too, is when before you go to that thing, you look at all your accounts across your whole like network, and you're like, I can use this much on this card, I can use this much on this card. I got $200 in my pocket.
because what happened was this woman, let me preview. Okay, a lot of companies don't let you preview, or if they, even though I still had to pay up, but like I paid like for some of those like baby cashmere sweaters like
Oh yeah.
$40. That
Oh,
was
they're
like my average
totally
price.
worth it. Those are easy $200.
Yeah, so I exactly some of them exactly I'm getting like close to $200 for. So it's like obviously I'm gonna. But a lot of people, if they went into a thrift store and they looked and they saw, oh, $50 for a sweater, oh, forget it. Yeah, but if it's the right one,
Yeah.
you know, if it's got a nice color pattern, especially like I had some cardigans, all 100, and like almost everything was 100% cashmere.
Yeah.
But it was all, and they had all Cucinelli, which is another great brand. That's like it's in Laurel Piana's league.
What's that brand? I'm gonna research that.
Yeah,
Cuchin.
Brunello.
Oh, Brunello. How do you spell that?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
Brunello
Now, is that just
space
another? Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Cuccinelli.
Oh, crazy.
Brunello Cucinelli.
Now, is that just another Italian designer?
Yeah, very
Gotcha.
high end. Uh, in the same league with Loro Piana, in the same, you know, Loro Piana is the king of the hill.
Yeah, from
You
what
know,
I noticed in the 5 months or 4 months that I've been getting into clothes,
yeah.
I've noticed that the sell-through rate on Loro Piana is very good out of
Well,
everything I've ever sold.
if you go like, let's say if you just like if you Google Loro Piana, they only have about 20 stores in the whole country. Okay, and every store is, it's in either the store is either in Manhattan, it's in Palm Beach, Florida, uh, you know, Rodeo Drive, like only on the top areas. I mean, because I mean, what? Because who's going to spend $1,000 on a sweater?
Oh, I know. We get in some new with tag stuff, and I'm like, there's no way in hell I would pay $2,500 for this.
Well, because we're thinking like us.
No, even if I had a ton of money, dude, if I was a
Listen,
millionaire.
but you don't understand. These people, like, especially, how many times have you seen athletes or somebody, whoever it is, and they made like, you're like, oh my god, this guy, basketball player, he made $20 million, and then it's like a couple years later he doesn't have money or something, and you're like,
Those
you're
damn
like,
designers.
yeah, no, because you're like, how could somebody, it's almost like we think like, because we're looking at our lifestyle.
Right.
Like I remember, if you ever watch some of these guys that like some of these athletes, like when they get divorced, they have to publish like what their expenses are, like how much their wife has to get this and how much,
Yeah, it's crazy
like
too, those numbers.
it's incomprehensible, like how you could spend so much money, like who all this stuff, you know I'm talking about stuff like,
I actually watched documentaries on that before on that subject about how sports guys from the inner city, they get money for the first time in their lives and they just blow it real quick. And there's a matter of fact, part of the documentary was they have like schools now for new players that come in any kind of league that teaches them like financial responsibility. And that
yeah,
just is over the last few years that's been
yeah.
happening.
But guess what? I listened to another interview about those classes. It actually was in like the NBA's union contract, that the teams have to, in the summer, in the off season, they offer those classes for those players,
Mhm.
and people are like, nobody shows up. A couple guys out of the whole team, maybe have 20 guys, one or two guys show up,
Right,
because their attitude is, this is my money, I earned it. Don't you tell me how I'm going to spend my money. That's
right.
the attitude. They're not thinking of it as like, look, and this isn't just athletes. It's people who win the lottery too. It's just a lot of stuff. They go crazy. And also the thing is too is everybody becomes your friend at that time. You know, when
Yeah.
people get
Oh
the
yeah.
lottery or something like that, you
Yeah.
get calls from this one, calls from that one, and then it's like, at the same time, you have to take care of yourself, but
Yeah. Speaking of
look,
money, that lady just claimed that $102 billion lottery prize today. Did you see that on Twitter or on the internet?
oh, the mega or the
Yeah.
Powerball.
Whoever it was finally claimed it today. The payout, they took the lump sum,
Yeah,
$832 million.
yeah, because they take what's called a present value
Yeah.
because the payout is over 20 years, and then they figure with interest from today to 20 years, that's how much. But that's the lump sum. But then you still have to pay the taxes on that amount.
Yeah, and plus like the 20-year thing sounds nice and everything and all in well, but you don't take into account inflation. The dollar could go to zero tomorrow if there's some
That ain't
crazy
listen.
like
I think if you have a
eight,
billion dollars,
yeah,
I
you're
don't think
okay.
you're worried about inflation.
You're
I don't
like
think you're
buying,
worried about.
yeah.
It's not going to be Venezuela coming where they have
Oh
40,000% inflation.
man, I know,
That's not
dude.
happening.
So one of
So
one of the things I love about, and I hate to sidetrack this
sure.
conversation, the one thing I love about estate sales is being able to find stuff that no one really knows about. Because once you start to do this for so many years, you
Hmm.
start to realize certain things are worth money that people think are trash. So,
All
um,
the time.
other than clothing, do you find any of that kind of stuff? Are you like, you know what I'm saying? Like someone passed up this and you saw it and it was on Sunday and you couldn't believe it was still there.
Yeah, well, I was telling somebody this. I have it on my channel on my YouTube. This is like from 2 years ago, maybe even more, 3 years ago. That it was at the end of the day on a sun on a weekend, like it was the end of the day, whatever it was, and they had like this vintage pair of Converse sneakers.
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't worth a tremendous amount. They were worth like I got like $200 for them, which is, I mean, good. I'm not saying like, oh no, $200, but somebody like they were literally in the garage, like all crinkled up, kind of, Converse. They always look like crap. They never look, they're
Yeah,
always
they're
like,
always beat up because they're just so cheaply made.
yeah, yeah. So that one was right there. That was like it was right on the shelf, and I just grabbed them. And of course, now I'm like, shit, run to the basement, run here. Like I find then I found like another boots, and I'm like looking them up, and the lady's like, we're closing in 5 minutes. Like, all right,
And
I'll be
that,
right up.
yeah,
Like get up, get the frig up, because I'm in the basement. Like, damn it, the service is not working down here. Because you're trying to, because obviously, I knew the Converse without even having to look them up. I knew they were worth money. I just knew
yeah.
it, and especially went there, boom, I paid like $5 for them. Done. Also, another really cool one. I think I've told you about a year ago or so. I bought, um, man, it was right in the garage, man. It was right there. It was, um, it was a Vision. Obviously, about skateboards.
Oh yeah, man. I
I mean,
lived oh, I lived it, dude. So that's why I know about that
yeah,
stuff.
I know. I'm like, I'm what you would call. I'm like, I'm assuming. Oh, you're from California. You have to know about skateboards. It's like one of those things.
I was a skater in the 80s and the 90s, so I know all about that stuff.
So, do you know who Mark Rogowski is?
Oh yeah, dude. He's that's Gator, right? Isn't that Gator? Is like
Yes.
nickname's Gator?
Yeah, he's the guy. He just got out of prison. He killed his girlfriend like 20 years ago.
Oh, that's right. I saw that documentary like 5 or 6 years ago. Yeah, you're right. So, anyways,
So
what did you find?
so I found the board. I have this video too right on my channel from like 2 years ago. I didn't recall. I just like sometimes you get like you know I had a flashback in my mind because obviously I haven't ridden a skateboard in years. And if I tried to ride, I'm so fat now. If I rode anything now, I'll fall and I'll break my ankle. I'm so out of shape.
Right.
So, but I just remembered the graphic on the back, and I was just like, this is, I just had a feeling, you know what I mean? I'm like, I know the skateboard and I know Vision. I saw and I said, but because everything, is always faded from the rail slides and the,
Oh, of course. I mean, some of the ones still go for good money that are ridden.
yeah, I could have gotten more money for, of course, same thing. I could have gotten more, but because there was no comps, you know,
Right. Oh, of course.
I,
Especially if it was an older, rare like deck.
Yeah, but the thing is, I even, you know what I even did? I even made a YouTube video, and I put the YouTube video in the listing because the wheels were shot, like the wheels turn, but you go like this, and it maybe turns around like 3 or 4 times.
Right.
You know, it doesn't like, it just like,
Yeah.
like, and there was literally chunks missing out of it.
Out of the
Um,
board or out of the wheels?
no, out of the board. It
Out
was
of the
like,
board.
because it's like as many it was like, what is it, like 6 or 7 layers in the board, and there was like maybe 3 layers missing in some parts.
And you still
So
got good money for it?
yeah, I put it for $100 because like I pay like at the garage sale. You should have. I mean, you'll if you go on my channel, you'll see it.
Okay. I'm gonna go look
And
at that later.
yeah, yeah, and if you saw it, the lady's like, I don't even think she said $5. I think she's like because it was just so destroyed
Yeah.
that I was like,
She's like, no one's gonna want this. Yeah, exactly.
destroyed, and no one would. Nobody. I just knew exactly what it was. I did so good at that sale too. They but I bought the board. I made the YouTube video to show it. Like I said, look, buy this at your own risk. It's rough.
Now I'm curious.
But now I was so stupid. Not stupid. Well, I don't want to say stupid, but I was
Yeah.
prudent. I should have hold on to more research because I didn't even know that this guy killed his girlfriend. I didn't. I mean, look, I don't remember every story of every skate. I mean, I just kind of like just maybe remembered this graphic from a skateboard magazine,
Yeah.
maybe, or
Yeah.
like certain like logos I remembered. Like it just, I just had like a flashback.
Well, it's one
So
of those things too, because like some of those graphics are legendary, and if you could find one of those boards, it's not even like the guy killed his girlfriend and there's notoriety because of that. It's just like there is these group of dudes in the '80s that people really loved, and their graphics were like they're legendary graphics now.
yeah, I had another sale that they had a whole bunch of t-shirts, skateboarding t-shirts. Um, but not obviously you want to find the stuff like the prime era. Oh, someone sold here.
Oh
The
no, it's all
prime.
good. I hate to break you. I hate to leave, but right now I gotta take off. We're gonna do this again, dude, if you don't mind. Like, I wish I had more time tonight to chat with you because I really wanted to have a one-on-one with you because I feel like when we start to get going and when there's like Corey's on and everything, it gets like I want to like focus on like hearing
Sure.
what Krillin's got to say, like so we're definitely going to do this again and we're going to do a Corey night too eventually. But Rob, I really appreciate you going out of the house, coming downstairs and talking with us. And Rob's links below. Definitely follow Rob. He's like the king of clothes, man. When I got those Laurel Pianas like a couple months ago, dude, I was just like, man, these are those things Rob was talking about. And it's one of those things where you watch these YouTube videos and things just start to click.
Then
Go ahead.
you find it. It's like, oh my god, I was just watching it and it's right there.
Yeah, exactly. So Rob, it was good. Krillin, it was good talking to you. We're gonna do this again. Any last words?
Yeah, I was gonna say Tuesday and Thursday nights if you want to come check us out. A lot of people in the chat already know the Jason Static, Jaysin. We talk about the reselling and talk about this and talk about that. But anybody who's up late at night who just is looking for some resale chat, you know, goes all over the place sometimes. Sometimes we end up talking about wrestling and stuff. You know what I mean? Like
That's a guilty
just
pleasure of mine.
yeah. So, but I'm just saying. But in general, there's other resellers that are in the on the panel. There's usually about 4 or 5 of us, and then anybody can go on if they want. If
Oh, how fun. Okay, cool. So
yeah.
it's like the old format.
Yes. Yeah, anybody can go on. I believe he starts at like 10, 11 o'clock Eastern time.
Oh, so it's like around 7 West Coast time.
Yeah, maybe 7. Yeah, something like that.
All right,
I
cool.
don't know. Treasure Hustlers, they're always there. They know. They're always there. They're always
Yeah.
watching.
Yeah, they gave me the complete name for that because I was putting Jason like JS
Yeah.
ON and it was something else for sure. Oh,
Yeah.
and she gave me a link. Nice. So yeah.
Yeah, no, they're always there. Well, they're on a lot of people's channels. They're always there. They follow a lot of people on YouTube.
All right, cool. All right, Rob, I hate to run and everything, but we'll do this again. All right, bud?
Peace.
All right, see you later. Thanks everyone for watching. Click the like, subscribe, all that fun stuff.